Free three. Right? What is this?
24. Officers were called about a felonious assault where a gun.
Probably get banned for having that in the background. Ban every time. Let's see here. What's up? Oh, getting close to the end of my book. Very interesting book. So, the problem with secular and natural morality is that it aims to let people define and follow moral principles independently without relying on external authority or absolute ideals. While it sounds liberating, this kind of morality often runs into issues because of self-justification. People have a natural need to justify their actions. When left to define morality themselves, individuals may bend moral standards to suit their own interests, often without recognizing it. This can lead to a moral code that feels right personally, but may be inconsistent or self-serving. The lack of absolute standards. So without a universal or absolute standard, people end up creating subjective moral systems that vary from person to person. This can lead to conflicts, as there's no common ground for resolving moral disagreements. Each person's sense of good might clash with others' beliefs, resulting in moral relativism. Avoidance of self-critique. Okay, so secular morality allows people to set up their own rules, making it easy to avoid genuine self-critique. If people are the final judge of their own actions, they might fail to challenge themselves and improve morally or recognize where they fall short, leading to stagnation or self-righteousness. Isolation from relationships. True moral growth often comes through interactions and challenges from others. Secular morality can isolate individuals from these relationships, as they might avoid being held accountable by others or engaging in honest moral dialogue. People, of course, everyone wants to engage in honest dialogue. What? Who would avoid honest dialogue? No one would do that. Exclusion of higher appeal. In rejecting any higher power or universal principle, secular morality limits moral appeals to one's own conscience or society's shifting norms. This approach can feel freeing, but leaves individuals without deeper guidance when faced with complex or deeply challenging moral dilemmas. So these issues suggest that purely secular morality may feel empowering, but it can make true self-improvement, genuine connection, and shared moral understanding more difficult. Yeah, of course.
Hello.
What's up? Are you an adult?
Yes, I am very much an adult. I'm 44 almost.
You're too much of an adult. We need someone a little bit younger.
Oh, why? Because they're easier to manipulate?
I'm just joking.
So what's up?
Well, on my live, I objectively prove that Christianity is true, and
Wow. I'd
sort
love
of
to
have a
hear
little.
that.
You have you ever heard of the transcendental argument for God?
I think so, but you'd have to remind me what it is.
Okay, so like there's basically like three ways we prove something's true, which would
Mm-hmm.
be like we do like a rational proof, which is proof based on like logic.
Mm-hmm.
There's empirical proof, which is proof based on sense data observations. And then
Say
there's
that again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
there's empirical proof, and that's like a proof based on sense data or your observations, empirical like science, basically empirical proof.
Okay.
And then there's a transcendental proof, which is a, sort of a philosophical proof. And transcendental arguments are used to prove what we call first principle beliefs or like your foundational beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we say like God is like this necessary foundational belief that if you deny God, then you couldn't make sense of the world. So that like essentially denying God is like denying something like logic or evidence itself because God is necessary to have logic. God's necessary to do like science.
You think that?
Yeah, prove it.
What's that?
I don't just think that I proved it.
Oh, how'd you prove it?
Because like we look at a science is an example I bring up a lot. Where like science requires to do an experiment, you have to do tests, repeat the results, right? So
Yep.
that requires there to be like this order, uniformity they call it in the world, and
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Christian. Like atheists will say this, philosophers will say this that if we can't explain the order, then science is impossible because that order is like necessary to do experiments.
What? I'm sorry. Okay. So you believe there's order in the world, or
Well, everyone does, but only Christians can explain how that's possible.
I don't know if I subscribe to that. I don't know if I believe that everything has order, literally.
I didn't say
I think there are rules, and I think there are there's gravity and all that stuff. But like, I don't know why you need a supernatural element to it. Or do you consider God supernatural? I'm sorry to.
yeah, it'd be supernatural. What were we talking about again? Or oh yeah, I'm not saying everything is ordered. Like
Mhm.
there's some order along with some disorder in the world, right?
Okay.
And our reason and our observation is limited, and it can't prove that it can't explain the order. We need aid. We need something supernatural like God's revelation. So the idea in Christianity is that God revealed himself to in thousands of years ago to humans. And
Mm-hmm.
so because God revealed himself and we have this history of the church, we have the Bible,
Yeah.
we know certain things about the world because we get it from the source, God himself, right? So we have this knowledge that we don't get from like our observation or for our reason. The knowledge comes directly from God.
Uh-huh.
And because it comes from God, it has to be true because God is like the thing that makes something true.
Okay. Um.
So it's a justified belief.
So so you're saying if you can't like reproduce so so why do you abstract first of all you're arguing for a god, not just the Christian God, correct? I mean, like, right now you're just basically
No,
doing a
specifically the Christian God, because it's the idea is that you have to include like the history of the church, God revealing himself in the Bible. And so we
Mhm.
get the claims from the Bible. Like the Bible tells us there's going to be order in the world. So they were justified to believe there's order in the world.
You don't think that there'd be order either anyway without a god?
Well, it's going to be that the order there is order in the world, and then it's a question of is it the human mind that imposes order upon reality, or is there
No, no,
actual order in reality?
no. First of all, I don't know if there's necessarily order. I haven't been really demonstrated that. There might be. Like, I don't know. I
But
don't know the
it's necessary for
argument. I don't
it's
know the argument, but I'll say this: that like, it seems as though that people place God in this places that they can't understand yet. And if there is, I don't
no
even
one's
know if
doing
I.
that. No one's
Why
doing
would
that.
there? What's that?
Nobody's putting God in a place where they don't understand. No one's doing that. That's not happening here.
Okay, okay. So
And you say
where's your okay? So aside from this argument, which I have no real backing on, which I understand, like,
that is the backing, dude. That is the what I just presented to you is the evidence.
hmm, well, excuse me for not like taking your word for it because I don't know.
Taking my word for it. You don't have to
Yeah,
take. I
I'm not
presented
saying
a
that. I'm
proof.
not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying that I don't know you and your interpretation of this supposed uh, idea that there's order and it might be transcendental argument might not be fully understood by you, or you might be um, biased in a way that might lend you like you might try to find a pathway to God through that, and you might be misrepresenting the idea, but I don't know. Maybe you aren't, but I don't know that, and I'd have to look it up before I make any claims about it. But I can tell you that I think that it is irrational to believe that you know there's a God, not that there is a God, but you know there's a God, and that you know what that God wants from us. Especially from a book that was written after the fact, rewritten, retranslated, edited, rewritten.
Oh,
You
you
know,
mean
I don't know.
yeah? You mean the thousands of manuscripts we have across time and distance that all verify and it's 98% accurate, and all the
90.
translations mean the same thing?
Where'd you get
Yeah,
that number?
from Greg Bonson.
Great Bonson. Who's
Yeah.
that? Can I look him up?
I don't care. You can do what you want. It's a free country. You're an American. It's your right.
Is that a he? Great Bronson?
Greg Bonson. Yeah.
Oh, Greg. Okay. Well, Greg's one guy. You know, Greg.
You
But
realize?
I'd go with like the consensus among theologians and people, astronomers, and people in the science field that I appeal to their understanding that that they don't know of, they haven't found anything like any evidence of a god, and they
Dude,
don't
dude,
they
you
certainly
went.
don't believe in the you know
We now know
Bible
God is
portrayal
provable.
of God. What's
Uh,
say
we,
again?
we now know Christianity is true because, like, look, the words you're saying, you
Hmm.
assume they mean the same thing as they did in the past when you're speaking, right?
Okay, so everybody has a different interpretation of the Bible. Is that what you're saying?
No. When you're talking to me, you're using words, right? And you
Yes.
assume those words mean the same thing today as they did yesterday,
Maybe
right?
yesterday. I don't know about 10 years ago, but I think people understand what I'm saying when I use these words.
Right, because they mean the same things as they did yesterday. Like, you believe that, right?
I mean, yesterday, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's a type of order, right? And how would you explain
No,
that?
it's it's a perceived order. We don't we place
You just
those
make it up.
words. We place the meaning of words. We do the sounds, and uh, they're over time. They're
Okay, so you're taking the position your words have no meaning. That what you're saying? Saying
I would
God
say
is
your
good.
words have no intrinsic meaning.
Okay,
Like,
well then what you're saying to me, it's you can't say anything meaningful then. So
Well, I mean,
I win the debate.
maybe you can't say anything meaningful, but you can convey something that has
Okay,
meaning.
but you can't debate now. Because when I
Okay,
say
but
words, they have
no, it's
meaning.
like, what
Because
do you
I
mean
believe
I
in God.
can't debate? You know
Because you're
exactly what I'm saying.
yeah, but your position is that your words don't have any meaning. Well, my words have meaning because I believe in God, so I can debate. You can't.
Oh, okay. So that's how you get out of it?
What am I getting out of? Your position is absurd. You're saying, believe what I'm saying, but my words have no meaning. That's absurd.
Because I'm not, because my words are a
Your
my
actions
words
contradict your
are a
claim.
conduit to an idea that you can, like, it's a
You're
conduit to an
contradicting.
idea that has no words. It's just a idea.
Why are
It's
you talking? It doesn't mean anything. You're contradicting yourself.
all right. So you're gonna play this game.
It's not a
Like,
game. You're
you
the
know
one playing the
exactly. Well,
game.
wait. Why are you arguing with me? I don't mean anything with the
For one,
game.
debate
That
is a
means
game.
nothing, right?
Debate is a game. Debate's a reason-giving game. So we are playing a game, right?
Mhm.
And you're saying my position is that my words have no meaning. So how are you going to give a reason for anything? How are you going to play the game? You can't give a reason if your words don't have any meaning, can you?
The meaning is the thing. The words are a
You said my
descriptor.
words have no meaning.
The words are a descriptor. So if tomorrow you said a dog means cat and everybody learned cat over dog, then people would be calling dogs cats. But the thing is we know that what we're talking about generally when we use this language.
That's just a linguistic variation. The properties of a cat don't change because you call a cat a dog, do they? The properties of cat are still the same, no matter what. Like
Yes.
a rose
Yes.
smells as sweet, so it doesn't matter what mouth sound we use. We're describing order in the world, and you're sitting here telling me, for some reason with no shame or embarrassment,
No,
that
no
your
shame.
words, that order isn't real. But then you want to talk and use and describe the order while you maintain that it's not
See,
real.
now
What
you're
an
being
embarrassment you are.
now you're being dishonest and kind of like you're using ad hominem. Like, well, not really yet, but you might.
This is just what
You
I'm
seem
just
you're saying
repeating your
I'm a
position.
no, dude. Like, seriously, you just said, like, words are just like you can apply word. Things change. Things are always changing. Is that what you're saying? Like, I don't know what you mean
when the
by
word does
what's that?
gato means cat in
Yeah.
Spanish, right?
Yes, sir.
So does gato and cat, they're different words. They change. Does changing the word change what the properties of a cat are?
No.
So it doesn't matter if you change the word because it's referring to something that's real. But you're saying the thing it's referring to isn't freaking real. And then you're
Really?
talking to
Really?
me.
Is that what
You're
I'm saying? I don't
contradicting
recall
yourself.
saying that, and you're yelling, dude. You're going
Because what you're
crazy.
saying is nuts. You're saying, look, cats aren't real. But then you want to
Oh,
talk
I
to me
said
about
cats aren't real.
yes, that's what you
What do you
just said.
like? Where are you getting this? You're
That's what you're
applying this
telling me,
crazy.
dude.
No, you're reaching, man. You're
I'm not.
reaching.
This is what you're telling. You don't even know. You don't even know what you're talking about, dude.
I'm saying that, like, objects are what they are, and you, dude. I'm not. I don't argue with dishonest people. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I wish you well. I'm dishonest. Oh, words don't have any meaning. But I'm going to argue with you using words. Hello.
I'm an atheist. What's up?
Oh my gosh. Why would you be an atheist?
Because I lack belief.
Oh man. You also you lack any knowledge or the ability to learn if atheism is true. So you want to take that position?
What was that? Say that again. Sorry.
Well, if you deny revelation, God's revelation is like necessary for like something like science or evidence or logic.
What is this revelation that science requires? You saying
The
science
Bible.
existence requires the Book of Revelations?
No, the
Or
claims of the Bible are necessarily true for science to be possible. If you deny the claims of the Bible, that would make science impossible, which would be absurd. And we know that's not true. So the claims of the Bible are necessarily true.
Okay, so you're tying science to the revelation of God.
The revelation of God is a necessary foundation to make sense, get science off the ground.
And why is that?
Because human reason and observation alone, without the help of God's revelation, it's not enough to like prove that science is true.
So what you're basically saying is human beings could not analyze or understand their environment without the revelation of God.
Bingo, yes. Because your reasoning would be the product of an accident. There wouldn't be designed or intention behind your mind. So your mind would be an accident. If your mind's an accident, then all your thinking is accidental because it's ultimately the result of an accident.
Are you saying accidents can't create intelligent life?
I'm saying you can't have knowledge if your thinking is accidental. Like if I guess how old you are, and let's say I'm correct. Let's say I guess you're 25 and you're 25, and just arbitrarily pick the number. Well, that's not knowledge because I just accidentally was right. I didn't have a justification to think you were 25. But if like I saw your driver's license or something, and if I said you're 25, well, that's knowledge because I have a reason to think that you're 25, right? So if your knowledge is the ultimate result of an accident, it's not actually knowledge, right?
So, yeah, I think you're equating two different things. Or you're equating my creation, me being created, is an accident, means that everything that I think can only be accidental since I was created accidentally.
Yeah, ultimately, your thinking would be accidental.
Why is that? Why are you saying that? So you're basically saying that if you're created accidentally, you can't come to any conclusive thoughts based on any evidence. All your thinking has to be accidental because you were created accidentally.
Yes, your mind is the result of an accident, not intention or design from another mind.
And how do you get to equate that with each other?
Well,
What evidence do you have that intentional analysis can't be done by an accidentally created creature?
It's just a true dichotomy. Like something is either intentional or it's not. There's no other option. And so if you deny ultimate intention, then guess what? There's no intention behind your thinking. If there's no intention behind your thinking, then it's the result of an accident, which means you can't think correctly. There's no reason to trust your reason.
There's no reason to trust my reasoning.
Exactly.
So there has to be an ultimate intent for anything else to have intent.
Yeah, see, like I can trust my thinking because Jesus designed it, right? And my senses too. Jesus designed my senses and he designed the world and he intended me to be able to think about and sense the world around me accurately. So, and since he revealed this to us, I'm justified in using my reason and using my senses so I can do science, I can do philosophy, I can do math. None of that stuff would make sense if there's no intention to the universe.
I mean, you're just kind of asserting that, but I guess you do have your basis for it.
No, that was a proof, actually.
That's not proof.
Yes, it is. So proof would be an assertion, right? They wouldn't be mutually exclusive. Any proof is going to have assertions in it. And so I just gave you a proof. Like if we have knowledge, then the Bible's true. We have knowledge, therefore the Bible's true. It's a proof.
So if I don't believe in this God, what penalty do I get for not having this belief?
You can't debate because
I can't debate anything. So wouldn't it be useless for you to have a debate with any atheist because they can't debate anything?
Yeah, the whole point of the debate is to like shut the mouth of the non-believer, to confront them with the truth that you either have to be a Christian or embrace radical skepticism.
But wouldn't that be a waste of your time because they can't understand anything?
Well, I believe you can know things and learn from the world because Christianity is true. However, if like Christianity wasn't true, that wouldn't be possible. So
I
that's
mean,
what.
I don't think anyone can disprove that a God exists. So no one can
You're right.
disprove a God exists. But I
Right.
think that the Christian God can be disproven.
But I just proved it.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. I said
You
he's
you,
Chris.
you didn't prove that you needed. Um, you didn't prove that uh, a sorry, there has to be an ultimate intentional being for intent to be into the world.
Well, there has to be ultimate intention for your thinking to be accurate, or your words to have meaning, or like for math to be possible, or for there to be moral.
Math to be possible.
Yeah,
Math is a human construct. It's not.
it
It's
can't
not
be.
real.
No, math is proof of God. Because
Math is a proof of God.
yeah, because math has properties that are associated with the what we classically think of as like divine properties, and so only like the Christian God could be a metaphysical justification for math, and because numbers are eternal, they don't change, they stay the same, and they're universal. And there's nothing in the natural world that has those properties, so it has to be
So
God.
wouldn't that make anyone's claim to any God, true?
Well, no, because you have to prove it, right? And only Christians can prove it.
I don't. You know, what proof do you have that the Christian God is real? But
That
just intent.
Well, he revealed himself. The Christian God took the initiative to reveal himself in the course of like human history. We have the Bible, Christ, all this stuff, and it all indicates like those claims. It describes the Bible describes the necessary type of world that has to be the case for like us to have this conversation, to do math, to do science, all that stuff. So you can't deny it rationally.
So I don't think that it's all 100% proof. Just because some people made claims that other people saw things doesn't make it true. We can say that
No,
almost about anything.
The king, I need your assistance.
what makes it true is what did we start out with? I don't remember. Like,
We were
but
talking about intent, and then we got into
intent.
math being eternal.
Intent. Yeah. So like, yeah, that's the thing is like if you deny that revelation, then your thinking is just like going to be like an accident, and then that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't think that necessarily has to be true. I guess you're getting into
What would have designed your thinking?
what can something be created from a non-created thing?
I don't make that. I mean, God would be uncreated.
I'm gonna disconnect.
Yeah, you're saying that, but that doesn't make it true.
No, it's true because it's revealed to us. That's why it's true.
It's revealed to you, but it's not revealed to us, me and you.
No, it's revealed to everyone. The Bible says God is obvious to everyone, that no one has an excuse. There's no arguing against it.
Well, then why are there people who don't believe? Why are there other religions?
Because wide is the road to destruction, and most people are going to take the road of destruction because they're rebellious and corrupt in their hearts.
So babies are rebellious.
Yeah. Baby.
So God intentionally created babies to be rebellious.
I never turn my back on a baby. You don't know what they're capable of.
Whatever. That's hilarious. Right. So, hold on. You got me with that one. That was hilarious. Okay, we were talking about. So God intentionally. Why would God give something free will to be rebellious against itself?
Well, that he didn't, right? So like I've been studying this, and I'm not an expert. I got to learn more about this, but I think that originally we didn't like make choices. We couldn't choose. Like originally we just did the will of God. And it was when we started to make choices, that's a result of the fall. So the fact that we can choose between things, that's like a type of a bondage and slavery. That's a result of the fall. And so, yeah.
So choice gives us the potential to walk away from God.
It's the entailment of our separation from God, yeah. Because in the Garden of Eden, we didn't really have a choice. God told us what to do, and we listened and understood what He said. So it's a failure to understand or listen to God resulted in choice.
I don't believe that's necessarily true because God gave Adam and Eve a choice from the beginning.
Yeah, but they didn't. The fall occurred when they stopped obeying God's command and they started making choices on their own. So
yeah, but that's different from saying that they never had a choice before. At least from the evidence of the Bible, they've always had a choice. There wasn't a point where they didn't have a choice. They always had a choice. That's why God gave them a commandment.
You're thinking of God's command as a choice. God's command isn't a choice. It's obligatory. It's not optional.
Okay, so what you're saying is because your first assertion earlier was that humans didn't have free will. And then all of a sudden they had the power to make choices. They ended up having free will, and them making those choices gave them the potential to walk away from God. But in the Bible, they've always had a choice. That's why God had to give them a commandment.
Well, that's
had to let them know that they shouldn't eat of that they shouldn't eat of a certain tree. But Eve made a choice. Huh?
Well, I'm just kind of learning about this now, so but like from what I'm reading, it seems like, yeah, that fair is fair. Following God's command isn't about like choosing to follow the command or not to follow the command, because God is God. He's ultimate, so His commands are obligatory. So it's not an optional. It's not a choice. You have to do what God says. And so eating from the tree, that was just like symbolic of basically a failure to either understand or listen to God's command. And the failure to understand and listen to God's command resulted in us being able to choose now for ourselves.
So how do we get God's commands in our world? How do we find out?
That's a good question. I need to study that more. I'm still not finished with the book.
So that means we could accidentally be breaking God's commandments without knowing. Well, if we don't have a way to access it.
I guess I would say like we have Jesus, like you can have a personal relationship with Christ. So we have the mind of Christ and we can know the right thing to do through Christ.
So if we believe in Christ, He will reveal what He wants us to know about the world or how we should behave.
Yeah, I need to study this more to like really answer that question well. But I know it has something to do with like it'd be tied into like God would reveal to us what's good through like Christ, I would say probably.
Okay, so could we blame people for not knowing, or does it really matter?
I mean, it's not up to us to like really judge others. That's kind of like for God to do. We're just as Christians supposed to love God and love others, and then have a relationship with Jesus.
And that's the only thing. That's the only requirement that are you saying that from your perspective, or is that just set in stone? Because God has a certain commandment to Adam and Eve, but it seems like you're saying that we don't really have a commandment for how we should behave in the world, and so we really don't know.
We're commanded to love God and to love others. That's the command.
And to love others. Yes. And okay, so if that's the only commandment, I mean, I guess that's good enough, maybe.
Well, Paul says love fulfills the law, so love covers all the commandments. The whole point of the law is to get us to love each other, because if you love each other, then you don't harm each other. So that's what the whole point of Christianity is.
Okay, so if you love each other, you don't harm each other.
Yes.
So,
We want the
I
best for each
guess,
other.
so you believe that no harm. Well, what if you have to harm someone if you love them?
It's not you wouldn't to love someone means like you wish the best for them, so you wouldn't harm them. You wouldn't do anything.
Well, so I guess the definition of harm has to be kind of a gray area, because what if you have to discipline someone in order to,
Well,
you know,
God would
in
be
order
God would
to
be,
get them to stop their behavior, which could be destructive behavior.
God would be like the standard. Jesus incarnates God in a man, and he's the example of like how we are to love others and behave. And so we just ask ourselves, like, what would Jesus do, right? We have a standard.
I mean, God does a lot of things. I don't know. I don't think God would command of us what God has done to people, because God has done
Well,
some harm to
sure,
people.
there's certain things like I said where there's certain tasks that God is authorized to do and we're not to do, like condemn other people, right? That's or seek revenge or
Right. I mean, in the Bible, God
otherwise.
uses certain people to enact his revenge.
Sure, and he uses like the government to punish people. Yeah,
Yeah, he's used certain ethnic
he,
groups to cleanse out other ethnic groups.
he uses evil to destroy evil.
So, do um if someone came to you and said that you've done something wrong and that they have the right to wipe you out, would you believe them if they said it came from God?
No.
Why not? They said it came from God. God uses people sometimes.
Yeah, but as Christians, we're not to do that. Like what happened when they wanted to stone the adulterous woman, right? Jesus told them not to do that. He said, "He who has a sin cast the first stone." And then Jesus said, "I don't condemn you. Go and sin no more."
Yeah,
So
but that was specific to her situation. But in other situations, he showed no mercy.
I don't think you really understand. No, God is
I,
constantly showing mercy.
what I'm saying is that in that one situation, he did that, but in other parts of the book, he did not spare the person that he did not want to spare, like the person who came out of the temple and I think I can't remember exactly, but he disrespected someone and he was told that God would
You don't know,
make
but
an animal eat him, and then the animal ate him because of he
think how
disrespected
worse
someone.
it would be way worse. Like and we're being protected by the grace of God at all times. If God removes that protection, the world would get real dark real fast. So he does have mercy and he does protect us. Although he does, allow bad things to happen because temporarily, like a child disciplining their children, or I mean a parent disciplining their children, he allows unpleasant things to happen so that we learn not to love the world and we repent and turn towards God. And that way more people will be saved in the end as a result of the unpleasantness. So he's always doing what's best for us. He knows he's the just judge. He knows everything. No one could be a better judge, make a better decision. And he wants the best for us. Thank God. He sent his son to sacrifice for him. So all we have to do is ask for forgiveness and repent and just spread love in the world. It's really not that difficult. And it's fun. It's awesome. You experience happiness, joy, and you'll feel fulfilled. You'll have purpose and hope. It's a good deal. You won't be an evolved animal. You'll be made in the image of God.
So basically, well, I mean, but no one knows what God wants completely. So
Yeah, we do, because Jesus came and told us. He said, love God and love others. It's not complicated. God's love. The whole point of creation is to spread love. Love is the most important thing. That's it.
just love people. That's it.
Yeah, you want the best for people, even if they treat you bad or call you names or hurt you. Pray for those who persecute you, you know?
So what if they don't love you back?
Then they're the test. It's easy to love people that are nice to you, right? Anyone can do that. That's no challenge. It's like playing a game with a hack on
What
easy mode.
what if they harm you?
Well, if someone harms you, you don't necessarily have to like sit there and allow them to abuse you. You should stand up for yourself, but you just wish the best for them at a distance.
Should you just run away and let God handle it though?
Yeah, ultimately God is in charge and he's going to handle everything. So we don't have to we don't his burden is easy. He takes care of everything for us. We don't have to worry about fixing the world. Right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if you don't have to worry about fixing the world, then why are you even having these conversations? Or is it just to let people know about God?
Well, the purpose of my live is I kind of like to mock atheists and show like how atheism is like irrational and that Christianity is a strong defense, rational defense for Christianity. We can object to it. So it's mostly
your thing is that intent has to come from intent. I don't think anyone knows that.
No, I proved it. For sure.
That's not good enough proof.
Well,
it's not good enough proof. You can't have consistent proof of that.
According, what's your standard to say that my proof isn't good enough for you?
It's not good enough for me because it's equal to the opposite.
You're just making yourself the arbiter of truth, but you're not the arbiter of truth.
That's fine, but nothing changes if I do. So nothing changes for me. So,
well,
if someone
presented a proof, you're just not persuaded. But it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm not persuaded, and so, but therefore, you don't have any proof of the opposite either. So we're equal.
What are you talking about? I'm proving my position. You haven't offered any proof for your position.
I did offer proof. You said my proof. You said my proof. Me as the basis for that.
What are you, agnostic?
I'm an atheist. I lack belief.
Yeah, but what would be? That's not rational. There's no rationale for that, right?
Well, a rationale for a lack of belief,
right?
I don't believe in a lot of things.
Okay, but so your position is irrational. That's the point. Your position
is rational belief. That's rational enough.
Your position's irrational, though.
Why is that?
Because you can't articulate a rationale that atheism is true.
Yes, I can. I have plenty of rationalities of why God doesn't exist or why the Christian Bible doesn't exist.
Why is atheism true?
Atheism is true enough for me to believe it. It's not 100% true. Just like your belief that intent isn't 100% true. It is rationalized. It's rationalized by the fact that your proof isn't sufficient enough for me to care.
Okay,
well, I could go on with my life and it doesn't hurt anything.
But that's an emotional position. That's not a rational position.
That's not emotional. That is a logical, reasonable position to have.
Not logical, sir. That is not logical.
If someone tells you that a dragon-faced fairy will come and gnaw off your face if you ever check your mailbox, that doesn't make it true just because they tell you that. So I'm still going outside to check my box because I have rational beliefs that dragon-faced fairies that gnaw your face off because you check your mailbox don't exist. I have enough rationales and enough experience in life to understand what isn't and is true.
Apparently you don't, because I just presented if I presented a transcendental proof that this like dragon or fairy or whatever is at your mailbox, then you would have evidence to believe it's true. And I presented you a proof.
What proof is that?
I've been doing it the whole time. I'm saying that like
if you're talking about that intent thing, that's not proof enough.
Well, it's a proof. You're not persuaded, but again, the only reason you're not persuaded is because you're emotional and you're not a logical or rational person. So
no,
that is the issue.
You're making an assertion. You have to understand that logic.
What's the rationale for your position?
Logic and reasoning does not lead to scientific theory is not 100% on things. It is only good enough for human purposes or good enough to be true. But you don't know that gravity is true all around the universe.
I want a rationale for your position, or else your position's irrational by default.
Okay, a rationale for my position. For what position? I got lost in the woods. Because your God doesn't present enough proofs for me to care.
But that's an emotional.
That's not emotional.
Yes, it is.
You have to.
That's not a rationale.
Do you believe that cars exist?
Uh-huh.
Do you believe that if you were hit by a car, it would cause harm to you?
Uh-huh.
All right, then. Does that isn't that true enough? Isn't that true enough?
If I was an atheist, I wouldn't be justified in believing any of those things.
So if just because I'm an atheist, I should just walk blindly into streets.
No, I'm just saying you should be a Christian so that your behavior would be more consistent with your beliefs. Because you already behave like Christianity's true, so you might as well just believe. So you get rid of the cognitive dissonance.
You're making an assertion, dude. You're making an assertion that is true, and that doesn't make it true.
You are displaying
it's a circular
cognitive
argument.
dissonance. You are engaged in cognitive dissonance.
Why is that?
Because you're denying Christianity, yet you're engaged in performative contradictions. Because your behavior
you said I'm behaving Christian?
Yeah, you're behaving Christian.
And what is a behavior that is only distinct to Christians?
You're arguing against me.
My argument against you. I thought you said that atheism in itself, because you're making it seem like science is only equated to Christianity, not Muslims, and therefore, if by that case, everything that you see that is not Christian still has intent and still has knowledge, right? So that's evidence against you in itself.
If atheism was true, that anything would be possible because there would be no God that determines possibilities. And so if anything's possible, you couldn't argue against me because you can only argue in a world where there's like things are limited, that there's distinct possibilities and impossibilities. Without that,
God doesn't even set, the Bible doesn't set a framework for limits.
When you're proposing this world where anything's possible and then you try to argue, that's a contradiction because that doesn't make sense. In the world that you're arguing for, arguments are impossible. So you're just a nonsense person. That's why I'm calling you emotional.
That doesn't make you emotional. That makes you illogical.
Yeah, so you believe things because you want them to be true, so you're emotional. You're not believing things because they're logically true or because the evidence indicates they're true. You just want atheism to be true, so you believe it.
No, that's not the argument I made.
Well, what's the rationale?
I have plenty of great rationalities for my belief.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I said it wasn't consistent enough. It's not consistent enough.
What's not consistent?
Your belief in God. It's not consistent enough for me to care. It doesn't change anything about my life if I do or don't care.
Well, then how do you argue? What limits possibilities and impossibilities so that
until I have empirical evidence, then I need to change it. But there's not good enough empirical evidence. As a matter of fact, your standard of evidence is just the same is at the same level of my standard of evidence for not creating for a non-God.
I think I'm gonna have to move on because you just keep contradicting yourself and you don't care. So
we're both circular because you can't get past this roadblock, dude. That's what you're not understanding.
You're emotional, but I wish you well. I hope you decide to
have a good one, man.
Yeah, I hope you decide to believe evidence and rationality before it's too late. Is that the Elliot argument guy? Is I am Sam Elliott the Elliot argument guy? I lost. Yeah, I lose every debate. Here, we'll do a poll. You guys can vote. So if you think the guy going to heaven and he's happy, if you think the guy going to heaven won, do the smiley face because we're happy we're going to heaven. If you think the guy who's going to a afterlife where he has lakeside property and there's a high temperature, then it's the crying face because, they're not going to be happy. There'll be gnashing of teeth. They're separated from God. It's going to be a bad time. So they're crying. So crying face if you thought the atheists won.
Hey, man.
Welcome. Are you the Elliot argument guy?
No, my last name's just Elliot.
Oh, that's an unfortunate coincidence.
No, I like my last name.
Well, yeah, but it's just you get associated with.
Oh
something.
yeah, he's kind of a punk.
Yeah. So do you have anything you'd like to say, or you want me to run my script on you?
I had a couple of thoughts. Just kind of about the last thing. So you mentioned like you have no rationale for, like not believing, because you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you're saying because the counter argument that you're presenting is a world in which anything is possible, which I don't think is the case. So I think I would say it's not that we live in a world in which anything is possible. We live in a world in which what's possible is possible. There are clear bounds. We just don't know what set them. And so to me, it seems like
It's a contradiction.
how?
If you don't know what dictates possibilities and impossibilities, then anything is possible. That's just an entailment for not knowing that. So
I don't think so, because it's possible for there to be bounds.
You're just contradicting yourself. Like you're saying, like, I don't know what makes things possible, but then I reject the entailment of that. The entailment of that is anything is possible.
What I'm saying is I think we live in a world clearly because there are rules and there are laws that govern reality.
And that proves God.
It proves that for some reason there are those laws. And my next question would be
anything but God, right? I mean, God's perfectly would make sense of that, and you just want to deny it because
I do think like that's a God of the gap argument, and I also
it's not a God of the gaps, because God of the gaps is saying, look, there's this phenomena and we can't explain the phenomena. Therefore, God explains the phenomena. We're not doing that. We are not doing that. We're saying to explain anything, God is necessary for explanations. That's not the same thing as we don't know what this phenomena, therefore God explains it. I'm saying God is necessary to explain anything as a foundational principle belief.
So then my next question is, let's say, okay, yes, sure, God is a creator is necessary to explain existence, which I don't necessarily think so, but for the sake of argument, like, yeah, let's say that. Why, like you mentioned earlier that, like, God is revealed in the Bible. Well, there's millions and billions, there's billions of Muslims in the world who would say, yeah, like God is revealed through the Quran, and they've all had spiritual experiences. And, there's old religions that go far back that have all had spiritual experiences. And even like, depending on how far back into the history of Christianity we go, there are people who are worshiping the same God. They're worshiping either Yahweh or El. And you go back far enough and that becomes a pantheon where Yahweh has a wife. And so like there's all of these things that are like explaining, there's different cosmologies all pointing to different gods. And so my question would be like, why is the Bible a better source than the Quran? Or why is the Bible a better source than any other ancient text? And then even texts that informed the Bible or predate the Bible that are like directly talking about the God of Israel. Why is their world of God has a wife named Asherah and there's, Yahweh's father is El? Why is that not, like, if we're talking the most literal biblical, you go back far enough to the God of Israel, like why is this modern version of Christian God, why is he the only possible explanation for existence? Because let's say there is a necessity for a creator. Why is the Bible more convincing than others? Because I don't necessarily think it is.
When we look at Revelation and all the religions, only one describes a perfect God that's necessary to make intelligible our experience in this life, and that is the Christian revelation. If you deny that, you'll be reduced to absurdity. And the fact that you're arguing here with me is proof that you believe in Christianity because you believe something dictates possibilities and impossibilities. And if your position cannot give a metaphysical justification for what that thing is, then you lose the debate.
So you're presupposing that a creator needs to be perfect because we clearly live in an imperfect world. So the creation story of Christianity has an explanation for why the world is imperfect, but it's also just as possible that for some reason, if we're talking about potential creators, it's just as possible that that the creator is just imperfect. So why do we, out of necessity, need a perfect creator when we live in an imperfect world? That's presupposing the Genesis.
Yeah, to make an argument, you have to live in the world of impossibilities and possibilities. And that's the world described in the Christian revelation. Only the Christian God has the necessary and exclusive, indispensable attribute set that can answer the transcendental challenge. No other worldview can answer the transcendental challenge. If your worldview cannot answer the transcendental challenge, which means you have to account for our intelligible experience, explain the uniformity of nature, explain the causal order, the conceptual order, morality, all these things, beauty. If you can't explain these things with your worldview, you don't meet the transcendental challenge, and your worldview is necessarily false. Since only Christian atheism can answer the transcendental challenge, it's not just sufficient, it's necessary. You cannot deny it.
Can you prove that only Christianity can do that? Tell me how Islam can't.
Yeah, Islam, the Quran says that Allah is a liar. If your God isn't always truth revealing, then they can't.
The Bible also describes God lying.
No, it does not.
It does. If you'll let me answer, I promise you, I'll give.
No, we're not doing Bible study with you. You hate God.
I don't hate God.
You're taking my interpretation of the Bible, which is that God is always truth revealing. That is a consistent interpretation with theology.
Are you getting that from the Bible?
Yes. Yes.
You're not. I can point to specific biblical examples where God lies.
Yeah, you're not doing that. You're gonna tell me that you either accept Christianity or you're a radical skeptic. That's your options now.
You haven't answered my questions though, and also I think we're being decently civil. So if you would keep being civil, I'll keep talking.
You're being an asshole. Thanks. I wish you well. You're an asshole. Okay.
Dude.
Laugh it up. Laugh it up, dude.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
How are you doing?
Oh, just talking to a bunch of emotional atheists. They hate rationality and logic. Typical day.
I feel you on that.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing well. I've just been enjoying the debates and all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Do you have a comment, or do you want me to run my script on you?
Just go ahead and run your script, I guess.
Do you accept God as your creator?
I do not.
Oh my God, why not?
I just have not seen enough proof, and I don't think there's just been enough proof given.
Okay, but that's not really a reason for your position. That's just restating your position. So, could you want to just concede that your position's irrational?
How would it be irrational?
Because to have a rational position, you need a proof, an argument as to why your position's true. And what you told me was a fallacy.
So the lack of proof or evidence is a fallacy in logic? True.
Yep. That's called an appeal to ignorance fallacy.
Imputing to ignorance? How is this ignorance?
See, this is why I feel bad, because the pop atheists or the atheist influencers, they don't educate you guys on this stuff, and they have you running around making fallacies all over the place, right? Yeah. So to say atheism is true because there's no evidence for theism. That is an appeal to ignorance fallacy. Because it doesn't follow. Just there could be no evidence for theism, but theism, like, think of 200 years ago, right? There's no evidence for DNA.
Yes.
Right? But just because there was no evidence for DNA, it doesn't mean that like DNA didn't exist or it wasn't like a fact.
Yeah, I feel what you mean. Like, even though it's nighttime, the sun still shines, even though you don't see it shining.
No.
Something like that, right?
Okay, I'll leave it now. Okay.
Sorry, did you hear me?
Oh, I got a call.
Mm.
Okay. But I gotta go. My bad. Yeah, so basically I'll just speed run it. Human reason and okay, think of knowledge as a car, right? We're going to start the car.
Mm-hmm.
Our car battery is human reason and observation, like rational and empirical proof and science and philosophy and all that. That's our battery. Okay.
Yeah.
Science and philosophy is like an empty battery. So when we go to start the knowledge car won't start. So what we need is a jump start from God's revelation. Like we get the jumper cables, hook it up to God's revelation, and that gives our battery the juice. It gives us the facts we need, the truth that we need as a basis or foundation to do science and to do philosophy.
Could I ask you what you mean by God's revelation? What is that?
It's just the idea that like the world exemplifies like ultimate intention, ultimate design. We see order in the world, so that is a reflection of the mind that put the order in the world. Or like the Bible and the prophets and Jesus, that's also another type of revelation. So that's what we mean by revelation.
But the thing is that the scientists that figure out this knowledge do this through.
You got muted. I didn't mute you. You muted yourself. I didn't mute you. Well, I gotta go, guys. So, atheists, I wish you well. Christians, God bless. Probably be on later. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.